doesn't have a name yet. One of the perks of living out in the middle of nowhere, people dump off their animals. So he's adopted us. Alrighty, so what do we have here? Alright, first off, let me say that I bought all of this, paid for it. I am not sponsored by Nitrous Express. They haven't given me anything but information. Answered an email or two, or, you know, like message if I had some questions. So, get that out of the way. So here, installing, I've got the Nitrous Express 6.4 Hemi plate kit. It's capable of up to a 400 shot, dual stage 200, basically, I guess it's kind of set for 200 shot. You can do dual stage or 2 stages. Obviously single stage. Comes with some monster solenoids in it. The line for the nitrous line is, I believe that came with a 8 AN, 6 AN for the fuel line. And then it had gotten the purge kit. Got the 6.4 Hemi solenoid mounting bracket. I had also got the hardline kit to go with that, and I'll talk about that here in a minute as to why I don't have the hard lines. Come around over here, and I've got the Nitrous Express Challenger switch, control switches. And then in the back we have the Nitrous Express 10-pound bottle with the Lightning 500 valve and the remote bottle opener, heater, the NHRA required blow-off vent. I want to get a different fitting and run the tube so I can actually run the tube out. So I haven't done that part yet. No, so far everything works well, does what it's supposed to do. Once I sort my stuff out, I'll be a whole lot better off. A couple other little toys that I've got. Forgive the wiring, I just wanted to make sure it worked. This is actually going to get Deutsch connectors. So the TPS RPM window switch from Nitrous Express, the Nitrous Express Maximizer Easy Progressive Controller. This thing, pretty cool. I'll do a separate video on it, but this was absolutely the easiest install of the whole bunch, because once you do the relay, you just plug that in where the relay would go. That's it. That was easy. Then this thing here, that was a good bit of fun trying to get it hooked up. I'll do a separate video for this, and like how to program it, how I wired it up, which wires were connected. I connected to for the throttle position sensor and for the tack feed. So those are all the toys. So now come back around here to the front and tell a tale. So like I said, this is the 6.4 Hemi plate kit. I have a Hellcat throttle body, I think it's the MMX or HHP, I'm not sure whichever one that the guy ordered the plate or ordered it from, but either way, Hellcat throttle body and a ported intake. These guys are ported to match these two. This is, I did not get the Hellcat plate, which maybe I should have, and it would have been a little bit easier to match all this stuff up. This kit as part of the kit, it comes with a spacer that actually goes between the intake and the plate itself, and then the regular throttle body would mount. Now on my cold air intake, there's supposed to be a heat shield here. So with this spacer plate here, with the nitrous plate, this spacer plate, it pushes everything forward this way, so I couldn't use that heat shield, because this actually, the filter mounts to the heat shield, and everything was kind of pushed in, and this just doesn't have enough give for me to be able to squish it down and get it all to mount so that it would be like it should be. So I don't have the heat shield on here for right now. And then also one of the other clearance issues or length issues, however you want to put it, was the hardline kit. So the hardline kit is designed for that spacer. If I'd have had that spacer, and it's about the same, I don't know, 1/4 inch or whatever, 1/2 inch thickness to go in between here, that would have pushed everything out just that little bit more, and this dimension here would have been fine. The hardline kit would have fit. But because I didn't use the spacer, or couldn't use the spacer, whatever, whichever excuse you want to go with, the hardline kit wouldn't work. It was just about maybe 1/4 inch too long, and it would actually push the brackets out, and I didn't like that. And I didn't like it did make me feel comfortable with that, with pushing the bracket back, and the way that kind of all worked out. So I went back with the braided lines that came with the kit. I will say, with if you watch the videos and all that stuff, they tell you it comes with everything you need. That's really not an exaggeration. It pretty much had everything. So I did some stuff a little bit different, just because I'm kind of picky with like how I ran the wiring and all that. It did not come with a fuel line. I actually had to make that. So I ordered these guys off of Amazon and got some braided line and ran that. And I did a little different here for my fuel. So the kit actually came with a fitting that would have mounted the fuel line. I made my connection here, and I didn't like that because I wanted to be able to run my half covers. So I changed and I got a different fitting. This is 5/16 fitting in here, and this one over here is a 3/8. So one, I don't understand why Dodge would have done them different. Two, I don't know why that actually didn't come in the kit this way. It would have been better, I think, but I mean, whatever, personal opinion. That way you can connect here. It's a shorter run, it's a straight line. The fuel lines that came with the kit I couldn't use because of the way if I hooked it in here, well, I could have used them, I guess. I could have ran them over and not used the cover, but I just didn't like that. I wanted it to be like it is. So I had to hook them back there, and then hook my fuel line up here, and then the nitrous line, everything I run through this big old huge grommet, poked a hole in it, and run all that stuff through here underneath the dash and all. That was a good bit of fun, running all that stuff through. So the nitrous line and some of the electrical connections are here, and I have another like I said before, I have another video that I'll put up as to where I made my connections. The tach sensor, or tach input feed, comes off the number 7 coil here, and then throttle position is actually teed in off the line, off the harness back here. Let's see what else we got here. Well, these guys, so my purge line for right now, it just purges out of here. I may run it so that somewhere in the future where it runs up so I can actually see when it vents. All in all, it's pretty cool. Does like it's supposed to. All of this switch stuff here, this all works, does like it's supposed to. So when the car's, you have to have the access, or have it on, and then it'll power up the switches for the heater. The bottle opener will work regardless, as long as the car's on. To open and close the bottle, and then my purge, do all that stuff from in here. In the future, I need to figure out a way somewhere to mount. If somebody's got some cool ideas, that would be awesome for help. If I don't have it figured out by then, don't really have a whole lot of folks watching my channel yet. But speaking of, if you like the content and like some of the installs and stuff that I'm doing, some of the race videos and that, please, please, please subscribe. Click the like button for the videos, and click that little notification bell down there so that you can get alerts when I post up new stuff. I'm trying to post up content of the different things that I'm doing to the car. So anyway, enough of that self-promotion stuff. So try to find a spot where I can mount a pressure gauge so that I actually have indication up here of what, that I've got enough nitrous pressure in that. So so far I'm just, like I said, I'm running the 50 shot, and I'm without having to change the plugs. Probably the Nitrous Express recommends that you go 2 heat ranges colder, I think it was. So at least 1 range colder than what's stock. I haven't changed any of the plugs yet. That'll be next for this stuff. One of the little issues that I've had, some like troubleshooting, kind of, not troubleshooting, but just things for folks to think about. There's a fitting, the manifold that goes here, there's so that the pressure transducer to control, to turn the heater off and on. I mean, you flip the switch to turn it on and power it, but it's got a pressure transducer that'll turn this off and on. If it gets too hot and gets above the set point pressure, I think it's 1200, it'll kick it off so that you can control this. And this thing gets hot really quick, so don't be grabbing hold of it. When it says, you know, don't operate it with the valve closed, don't touch it when it's hot and all, they're not kidding, because this thing gets pretty hot pretty quick. But these are the wires here hanging. That's for the pressure transducer. And then also off of that manifold, I have a analog gauge that I screwed in there. Well, that fitting leaked. I didn't use a thread lock on the gauge, so it didn't leak, so I had to take that out. And that's why it's not in here right now. So, all in all, though, I mean, I've been really impressed with, like, the fit and finish, I guess, if you will, of the Nitrous Express stuff. And I know a lot of guys kind of like mix and match the parts and stuff. I'm not that guy. I'm kind of anal when it comes to that sort of stuff. If I use one, if they do it all, then I'll do all of their stuff. So one thing I wish was done a little bit different, and it's not a huge issue, is I wish, like, I guess the previous versions of the Maximizer Easy actually had a knob. So this came with a little screwdriver to get in there. That can be a little difficult if it's dark or something like that, especially. But not a huge, no, I mean, not a deal breaker or nothing like that. It would have been nice if they'd have just left it. It did come with a little rubber plug in there too, so if you mount it under the hood, you don't have to worry about water getting in it and that kind of stuff. So this thing is actually made so that you can mount it underneath the hood if you wanted to. So that's pretty much the Nitrous Express Hemi plate install. I said it came with all the screws and stuff for here. And I'm kind of thinking maybe now, after going through it with the video on that I may be able to cut this here and shorten this up some to move, that way I can get this moved back where it needs to be for the filter, and may possibly even be able to put the spacer plate back in there so that I can use the hard lines. So if I'm able to do all of that, I'm not real sure about cutting this. I don't know if that's going to mess with the airflow sensor, but anyway, I'm pretty sure I can put the spacer plate in here. Just need to get longer screws for here, but I can put that plate in here and then I can go ahead and use the hard lines. So that should fix that problem. And then I still need to kind of play with this one a little bit and see maybe if I can do the spacer. If I can cut that off a little bit and move all of this back, if that won't get me where I need to be with the filter. So, at the risk of repeating myself, once again, if you would, go ahead and click that like button for the video, subscribe. If you got some questions or whatever, you can shoot me an email. I'm at chromedomeracing@gmail. That'll be that, I guess. So, y'all have a good evening, and I reckon I'll talk to you later.